The GPS notification pinged on my phone at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, showing Saddie's car parked at 1247 Ocean View Drive, Ryan Foster's beach house, not the Mountain View Resort where she'd supposedly been having her girls' weekend for the past 3 days. I stared at the screen, my coffee growing cold in the dim light of our kitchen. The family tracking app we'd both agreed to install after her sister's car accident last year had just blown up my entire marriage with a single blue dot on a map. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name is Will Harper, and I'm a 37-year-old IT project manager who thought he knew his wife. Turns out I didn't know shit. Saddie had left Friday morning with her usual drama. 3 suitcases for a weekend trip, kissing me goodbye with that bright smile that made me fall for her 8 years ago. The girls need this, Will. Kate's divorce is finally final, and Mia just got passed over for that promotion again. We're going to drink wine, get massages, and complain about men. Don't complain too much about me, I'd joked, loading her bags into her Honda. I'm the one funding this therapeutic retreat. She'd laughed, that musical sound that used to make my chest tight with happiness. You're the best husband ever. I'll bring you back something nice. The something nice, apparently, was a front row seat to her betrayal. I'd tried calling her an hour ago when I noticed the GPS discrepancy. Straight to voicemail. Texted her. Hey babe, hope you're having fun. Love you. The message showed as delivered but unread. Then I tried calling again. That's when I discovered I was blocked. Not just phone calls, everything. Text messages, Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. My own wife had digitally erased me from her existence while she was apparently playing house with Ryan Foster, the smug bastard who owned 3 CrossFit gyms and drove a BMW like he was compensating for something. I knew Ryan from the neighborhood barbecues. He was one of those guys who wore tank tops to show off his arms and always had an opinion about everything. Saddie had mentioned him a few times. Ryan thinks the HOA should allow food trucks, or Ryan says the city council is corrupt. I'd assumed she was just making conversation. Clearly, I'd assumed wrong about a lot of things. My phone buzzed. A text from Kate, Saddie's best friend since college. Will? Saddie said you had a family emergency. Is everything okay? I stared at the message for a full minute. Family emergency. That was Saddie's cover story for why I wasn't answering my phone. Because I was blocked. Because she was at another man's beach house instead of a girl's retreat. The rage that hit me was white hot and immediate. 8 years of marriage, and this was how it ended. With lies and GPS coordinates and a bullshit story about family emergencies. I typed back to Kate, no emergency here. Just discovered Saddie's at Ryan Foster's beach house, not the resort. GPS doesn't lie. How was the girls' trip that apparently didn't include my wife? The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Then, what are you talking about? We're all here at Mountain View. Saddie's in the hot tub right now. I screenshot the GPS location and sent it to Kate. This is Saddie's car, right now. Want to check that hot tub again? 5 minutes passed. Then my phone exploded. 63 missed calls in 20 minutes, all from Saddie's unblocked number. I let it ring. When it finally stopped, I had 17 voicemails. I played the first one. Will, what is wrong with you? Kate is freaking out saying you have GPS on my car. That's insane. Call me back right now. The second. I can't believe you're spying on me. This is psychotic behavior, Will. Call me. The third, her voice cracking. Please, just call me back. We can talk about this. Don't do anything stupid. By the 17th message, she was crying. Will, please, I love you. Don't ruin everything over a misunderstanding. Please just pick up the phone. I poured myself a whiskey, the good stuff she'd bought me for my birthday, and called her back. Will, thank God. You blocked me, I said quietly. I can explain. You blocked your husband of 8 years while you were sleeping with another man, then told your friends I had a family emergency when they wondered why I wasn't answering my phone, because I was blocked by my wife. The silence stretched for 30 seconds. It's not what you think, she finally whispered. It's exactly what I think. You're at Ryan Foster's beach house. You lied to your friends about where you were going. You blocked me so I couldn't contact you while you played house with your boyfriend. Did I miss anything? Will, please. You blocked me first, Saddie. I hung up and turned off my phone. Then I called my sister Lisa from the landline. Will, why are you calling from Mom's old number? Lisa, I need a lawyer, the best divorce attorney you know, and I need them tomorrow morning. By 7 a.m. Saturday, I was sitting in the office of Patricia Hendricks Esquire, with a coffee that tasted like battery acid and a manila folder full of evidence that my marriage was over. GPS tracking is legal when both parties consent, Patricia said, reviewing the location data I'd printed out. You're both on the family plan, she agreed to the tracking app. This is admissible. Patricia was Lisa's college roommate, now a shark in a power suit who specialized in high-conflict divorces. She had silver hair, kind eyes, and the demeanor of someone who'd seen every possible way humans could betray each other. What about her blocking me? I asked. Demonstrates intent to deceive and abandon the marital relationship. Combined with the location evidence and the lies to mutual friends, you have grounds for fault-based divorce. Washington is a no-fault state, but this could affect asset division and spousal support. My phone had been buzzing non-stop since I'd turned it back on. Saddie had called 47 times overnight. I'd listened to exactly none of the voicemails. I want her served with papers today, I said. At Ryan's house. I want her to know that I know exactly where she is. Patricia smiled for the first time that morning. I like your style, Mr. Harper. Let's make this interesting. While Patricia drafted the initial paperwork, I drove home to our house in Maple Ridge, a neighborhood where everyone knew everyone else's business, and gossip traveled faster than the morning coffee delivery. Our neighbor Mark was washing his car in the driveway, but he was really watching for me to come home. Mark was retired military, quiet and observant, the kind of guy who noticed everything but said little. Rough night? He asked as I got out of my car. Getting rougher, I said. Saddie won't be coming home for a while. Mark nodded slowly. Figured something was up when she loaded 3 suitcases for a weekend trip. My ex-wife used to do that when she was planning to stay somewhere else. Your ex-wife cheated? With my business partner. Cleaned out our joint account and moved to Florida with him. Mark wrung out his sponge. You need anything, Will, just holler. I know what it's like. Inside the house, everything looked exactly the same, but felt completely different. Saddie's coffee mug was still in the sink from Friday morning. Her magazine was open on the kitchen counter. Her pillow still smelled like her shampoo. I walked through our home like a crime scene investigator, seeing everything with new eyes. How long had this been going on? The late nights she blamed on work projects. The new lingerie, she said, was for herself. The way she'd started going to the gym religiously 6 months ago. Ryan's gym. Of course. My phone rang. Saddie again. This time I answered. Will, thank God. We need to talk. We are talking. In person. I'm driving home right now. No, you're not. You're going to be served with divorce papers in about an hour. At Ryan's house. I thought you should know. The sharp intake of breath was audible. You filed for divorce? Abandonment and adultery. Turns out GPS data is admissible in court. Who knew? Will, please, just let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That you used your friends as cover for your affair? That you blocked your husband so you could play house with your boyfriend? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Saddie? Enlighten me. Another long pause. When she spoke again, her voice was small. I made a mistake. No, a mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. This is a choice. Multiple choices. all of them designed to humiliate me while you slept with another man. Don't be crude. I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to me. I'm being crude. You're worried about my language while you're literally in bed with another man? I'm not in bed with him right now, but you were last night, and the night before, and probably a lot of nights I don't know about yet. She started crying. Will, I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. You loved me so much you blocked me. I was confused. You're about to be a lot more confused when the process server shows up. Have a great day, Saddie. Enjoy explaining this to Ryan. I hung up and immediately called Patricia. The papers are ready, she said. My guy is en route to the beach house now. Should be there within the hour. Perfect. What's next? Change the locks. Cancel her access to joint accounts. File a police report about her blocking you during the abandonment. Establishes a timeline. Then we wait for her to make her next move. What if she comes home? She's not coming home, Will. She's going to try to manage this situation, control the narrative. Women like Saddie always do. But you're 3 steps ahead of her now. Patricia was right. Saddie didn't come home. Instead, she called her mother. Ruth Brennan was a 70-year-old retired school principal who'd raised 3 daughters with an iron fist and a moral compass that pointed true north. She'd always liked me better than Saddie's previous boyfriends, and she'd made it clear she expected Saddie to treat me well. Ruth called me at 2 p.m. Will, honey, Saddie just called me crying about divorce papers and GPS tracking. She's saying you're being unreasonable. Mrs. Brennan, she's been having an affair. She lied to her friends about where she was going and blocked me so I couldn't contact her while she spent the weekend with another man. Silence. Then, are you certain about this? I have GPS data, phone records, and 3 witnesses who can testify she lied about her whereabouts. Another long pause. That little fool. I'm sorry, Mrs. Brennan. I know this isn't what you wanted for her. What I wanted was for her to be a good wife to a good man. Instead, she's thrown away the best thing that ever happened to her. Ruth's voice was steel. Don't you apologize to me, Will Harper. You did nothing wrong. Thank you for saying that. I'm not just saying it. I'm doing something about it. I'm driving over to get her things. She's not welcome in my house until she makes this right. But I won't have her coming back to yours either. Her belongings will be in storage until she finds her own place. Mrs. Brennan, you don't have to. Yes, I do. She disgraced our family, Will. There are consequences for that. Ruth arrived at 4 p.m. with Saddie's sister Jennifer and a U-Haul truck. They packed up Saddie's clothes, personal items, and half the wedding gifts in grim silence. The neighbors watched from their windows and porches, and I knew the whole street would know Saddie's business by dinner time. Where should we take her things? Jennifer asked. She looked embarrassed, avoiding eye contact. Storage unit on 5th Street, Ruth said briskly. Saddie can figure out how to pay for it herself. As they loaded the last box, Ruth pulled me aside. Will, I want you to know that not all of us Brennan women are fools. Saddie had a good man and threw him away for excitement. That's on her, not you. I appreciate that, Mrs. Brennan. Ruth, we're family until the papers are final, and maybe even after. She patted my arm. You call me if you need anything. And Will, don't take her back. A woman who can lie that easily will do it again. After they left, I sat in my empty house and realized something. For the first time in months, I felt peace. No walking on eggshells, wondering why Saddie seemed distant. No more excuses for her late nights or mood swings. No more pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Ryan. We need to talk. I typed back, No, we don't. Stay away from my house and my life. You can have my cheating wife, but that's all you get. You don't understand the situation. I understand it perfectly. You're sleeping with my wife. She's getting divorced. Math is simple. It's not that simple. Sure it is. You wanted her. You got her. Congratulations. She's your problem now. My phone rang immediately. Ryan calling. I answered. What part of stay away was unclear? Look, Harper, this got out of hand. Saddie's a mess, crying about losing everything. Maybe we can work something out. Work something out? I laughed. Like what? Shared custody of my wife? Don't be a dick about this. I'm being a dick? You slept with another man's wife and I'm the dick? She came on to me. I don't care. I don't care who started it, who pursued who, or how you justify it to yourself. You both made choices. Now you get to live with them. She doesn't want to be with me, man. She wants to come home to you. That stopped me cold. What did you just say? She's been crying all day about losing you. This whole thing was just, I don't know, some kind of test or something. She wanted to see if you'd fight for her. The rage that hit me was nuclear. A test? Look, I didn't know that's what it was. She told me you guys were separated, that you were seeing other people. You thought you'd help yourself to another man's wife and there wouldn't be consequences. Harper, listen. No, you listen. Saddie is your problem now. I don't want her back. I don't want to work it out. I want her out of my life permanently. So congratulations, asshole. You won the prize. Enjoy it. I hung up and immediately called Patricia. They're panicking, I told her. Ryan just called saying Saddie wants to come home, that this was some kind of test. A test? Patricia's voice was sharp. That's even worse than a simple affair. That's psychological manipulation. Can we use that? Oh, we're going to use everything, Will. I'm going to destroy her in court. Sunday morning brought the first casualties of war. Saddie's friends. Kate called at 8 a.m., her voice tight with anger. Will, I need to know exactly what happened this weekend. I told her everything. The GPS location, the blocking, the lies about family emergencies. Kate listened in silence. That witch, she said finally. She used us as her alibi while she cheated on you. I'm sorry you got dragged into this, Kate. Don't apologize. I'm furious. We planned this trip for months and she bailed to be with some guy, then lied about it? That's not the Saddie I thought I knew. How are Mia and Jess taking it? Mia's pissed. Jess isn't surprised. She said Saddie's been acting weird for months, always on her phone, secretive about everything. Will you testify about her lies? About the cover story? Absolutely. What she did to you is unforgivable, but what she did to us is almost as bad. We covered for her, Will. We told people she was with us when she wasn't. That makes us look like idiots or accomplices. By noon, I had statements from all three women confirming Saddie's deception. Patricia was thrilled. Character witnesses are gold in divorce proceedings, she said. Her own friends testifying that she's a liar. That's devastating. Monday brought more fallout. Saddie's co-workers at the marketing firm started calling, confused about conflicting stories. Saddie had told them she was taking personal days for a family crisis, but her social media showed her at a beach resort. Except her social media was fake too. I spent Monday evening reverse searching her weekend photos. The beach shots were stock images from the resort's website. The girls' night selfies were old photos with the date stamps edited. She'd planned this deception meticulously. Tuesday morning, Saddie finally came home. I was having coffee in the kitchen when I heard her key in the front door, except her key didn't work anymore because I'd changed the locks. She knocked, then pounded, then rang the doorbell repeatedly. Will, open the door. We need to talk. I walked to the front window where she could see me and held up my phone, recording. This is Will Harper, Tuesday, October 15th, 8:30 a.m. My estranged wife, Saddie Harper, is attempting to gain entry to the marital home after abandoning it for 4 days to conduct an extramarital affair. Will, stop being dramatic and open the door. Mrs. Harper, you are trespassing. Please leave the property. This is my house, too. Not according to the restraining order filed yesterday. You have 24 hours to collect essential items under police supervision. Everything else has been placed in storage. That was a bluff. I hadn't filed a restraining order yet. But Saddie didn't know that. You can't keep me out of my own house. Watch me. She stood on the porch for 10 minutes, alternating between threats and tears, while I filmed everything. Finally, she called the police. Officer Martinez arrived 20 minutes later. I met him on the porch with a folder of documents. Sir, your wife says you're illegally preventing her from entering her residence. Officer, my wife abandoned the marital home to conduct an affair, then lied about her whereabouts to mutual friends and family. She blocked all communication with me during her absence. I have GPS evidence, witness statements, and phone records documenting her deception and abandonment. I handed him the folder. Officer Martinez reviewed the documents while Saddie stood behind him, looking increasingly pale. Ma'am, did you leave the residence voluntarily on Friday? Yes, but did you inform your husband of your actual whereabouts and activities? Saddie looked at the ground. It's complicated. Did you block his phone number and social media accounts? I can explain. Ma'am, based on these documents, it appears you voluntarily abandoned the marital residence and deliberately prevented spousal communication. Your husband has filed for divorce and has a legal right to secure the property. But it's my house, too. Not anymore, Officer Martinez said gently. You'll need to work this out through your attorneys. Sir, she can collect essential items under police supervision if you're willing to allow it. I looked at Saddie, standing there in yesterday's clothes, mascara smudged, looking smaller and more pathetic than I'd ever seen her. Essential items only, I said. 20 minutes. Saddie packed a suitcase while Officer Martinez watched and I filmed. She kept trying to start conversations. Will, please, we can fix this. But I didn't respond. As she was leaving, she turned back one more time. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore, Saddie. Will, I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the security, the stability, the safety net, but you don't love me enough to be faithful, honest, or respectful. So take your love and give it to Ryan. He's the one who earned it. She started crying again. It was a mistake. No, it was a choice. Multiple choices. All of them designed to humiliate and deceive me. Now, you get to live with the consequences. Officer Martinez escorted her to her car. As she drove away, Mark appeared from his yard. You handled that well, he said. Did I? I feel like a bastard. She made her bed, Will, literally. Don't feel guilty for making her sleep in it. That afternoon, Patricia called with an update. Saddie hired David Chen from Chen & Associates. He's good, but he's working with a terrible set of facts. Your wife's credibility is shot, and her own friends are testifying against her. This is going to be a massacre. What's she asking for? Half of everything, spousal support, and she wants you to pay her legal fees because the divorce is frivolous and vindictive. I laughed. Frivolous and vindictive? She's claiming the GPS tracking was stalking, that you violated her privacy, and that the affair was a brief indiscretion that doesn't warrant fault-based divorce. Brief indiscretion? She planned this for weeks. I know. We're going to prove that. I've subpoenaed her phone records, credit card statements, and gym membership logs. If this affair has been going on longer than she admits, we'll find out. Wednesday brought the first surprise. Ryan called me. Harper, we need to meet. I told you to stay away from me. This is important. Saddie's losing her mind. She's been staying at my place since Tuesday and she's unstable. Still not my problem. She's talking about hurting herself. That got my attention. What do you mean? She keeps saying she's ruined everything, that she's lost the only good thing in her life. She won't eat, won't stop crying. I'm worried about her. Call her mother. Call her sister. Call a therapist. Don't call me. She doesn't want to talk to her family. They're all on your side now. Because I didn't cheat on my spouse and lie to everyone I know. Look, I get that you hate me, but Saddie needs help. Professional help. Can you at least talk to her? Why would I do that? Because you loved her once. Because she's falling apart, and you're the only person who can reach her. I considered it for exactly 3 seconds. Ryan, let me explain something to you. Saddie is a 34-year-old woman who made adult choices and is facing adult consequences. If she needs professional help, get her professional help. But I'm not her safety net anymore. You are. You wanted her, you got her. All of her, including the messy parts. She doesn't want to be with me. She wants you back. Then she should have thought of that before she blocked me and spent 3 days having intimacy with you. It wasn't 3 days. I don't care if it was 3 minutes. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with it. I hung up and immediately called Patricia. Saddie's having a breakdown, I told her. Ryan's worried she might hurt herself. That's unfortunate, but not your responsibility. Don't let them manipulate you with suicide threats. If she's genuinely suicidal, they need to call 911, not you. What if she actually does something? Will, listen to me carefully. You are not responsible for Saddie's mental health. You didn't cause this situation. She did. If she's having a breakdown, it's because she's facing consequences for her actions, not because you're being unreasonable. But what if? No. Don't go down that road. Saddie is using emotional manipulation to try to get you back. Don't fall for it. Patricia was right, but I still felt uneasy. I'd lived with Saddie for 8 years. I knew her moods, her patterns, her ways of coping with stress, and what Ryan described didn't sound like manipulation. It sounded like genuine breakdown. Thursday morning answered that question. Saddie's sister Jennifer called, crying. Will, Saddie's in the hospital. She took pills last night. My blood went cold. Is she okay? She's stable. They pumped her stomach. They don't think she really wanted to die. The doctor said it was more of a cry for help than a serious attempt. Jesus Christ. Will, I know you hate her right now, and I don't blame you. But she's asking for you. She won't talk to anyone else. Jennifer, I can't. I'm not asking you to take her back. I'm asking you to help save her life. I closed my eyes and tried to think clearly. This was exactly what Patricia had warned me about. Emotional manipulation, using crisis to control the situation. But this was also Saddie, the woman I'd loved for 8 years, lying in a hospital bed because she'd swallowed a bottle of pills. What hospital? St. Mary's, room 314. I hung up and stared at the phone for 10 minutes. Then I called Patricia. Don't go, she said immediately. This is manipulation, Will. Classic abuser behavior. Create a crisis to regain control. But what if it's not? What if she really is suicidal? Then the hospital will handle it. They have professionals trained for this exact situation. You are not qualified to treat suicidal ideation, and you're the last person who should try. I feel like a monster. You feel like a decent human being who's being manipulated by someone who's very good at it. Saddie created this situation, Will. All of it. The affair, the lies, the breakdown, the suicide attempt, all of it stems from her choices. Don't let her make you responsible for fixing what she broke. I didn't go to the hospital. Instead, I called Ruth. I heard, she said before I could speak. Jennifer called me an hour ago. I don't know what to do. You do nothing. Saddie made this mess, and Saddie needs to clean it up. You're not her husband anymore, Will. You're not responsible for her emotional well-being. But what if nothing? She's getting professional help, she has family support, and she has Ryan. She doesn't need you to rescue her from the consequences of her own actions. Her own mother is cutting her off. Her own mother is refusing to enable her destructive behavior. There's a difference. Ruth was right, but it still felt wrong. I spent Thursday night lying awake, wondering if I was being cruel or just protecting myself. Friday morning brought the answer. Saddie was discharged from the hospital and immediately moved in with Ryan permanently. Jennifer called with the update. She's okay, Will. Physically, anyway. The therapist thinks she's going to be fine. Good. I'm glad she's getting help. She wanted me to tell you something. Jennifer, I don't think. She said to tell you that she knows she destroyed everything, and she's not going to fight the divorce anymore. She's going to sign whatever papers you want. I felt a mixture of relief and sadness. Okay. She also wanted me to tell you that she's sorry, really sorry, not just for getting caught, but for all of it. The lying, the cheating, the manipulation. She knows she hurt you, and she knows she can't fix it. I appreciate her saying that. Will? For what it's worth, I think you're handling this exactly right. Saddie needs to face consequences for what she did. Maybe this will help her become a better person. Maybe. After Jennifer hung up, I called Patricia with the news. She's not contesting the divorce? Patricia sounded surprised. Apparently not. She's going to sign whatever we put in front of her. That's unusual. Most cheating spouses fight tooth and nail, especially when they're facing fault-based proceedings. Maybe the hospital stay gave her some perspective. Or maybe her lawyer told her how badly she's going to lose if this goes to trial. Either way, this is good news for you. How good? You keep the house, your retirement accounts, and most of the assets. She gets her personal belongings and maybe a small settlement to help her get back on her feet. No spousal support. That seems fair. Fair? Will, she cheated on you and lied about it for months. Fair would be leaving her with nothing but the clothes on her back. I'm not trying to destroy her, Patricia. I just want out. You're a better man than most of my clients. Saddie's lucky you have a conscience. The papers were drawn up by Monday. Saddie signed them without reading them, according to her lawyer. The divorce would be final in 90 days. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The first sign of trouble came 3 weeks later, on a Thursday evening in November. I was grilling burgers in my backyard, enjoying the first peaceful evening I'd had in months, when Mark appeared at the fence. You might want to see this, he said, holding up his phone. It was a Facebook post from Mia, one of Saddie's former friends. Some people will believe anything. Just found out Saddie Harper has been telling people that Will was abusive and controlling, and that's why she had to cheat. Ladies, I was there. I saw their marriage up close. Will Harper is one of the good guys, and Saddie is a liar who got caught and is now trying to rewrite history. Don't fall for it. The post had 47 comments and climbing. I scrolled through them, my stomach sinking with each one. I always thought there was something off about Saddie. Lisa Chen. Will seem so nice when I met him at their barbecue last year. Janet Morrison. Saddie tried to tell me the same story. Said Will was emotionally unavailable and financially controlling. Glad to know the truth. Rebecca Walsh. But there were other comments too. I believe Saddie. Abusers are often charming in public. Anonymous. Just because someone seems nice doesn't mean they aren't abusive at home. Karen Stewart. Maybe we should listen to the actual victim instead of her ex-husband's friends. Michelle Torres. I handed the phone back to Mark. She's telling people I was abusive? Apparently. My wife heard it at the grocery store yesterday. Saddie's been making the rounds, telling anyone who'll listen that you were controlling and emotionally abusive, and that's why she had to seek comfort elsewhere. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. It wasn't enough that Saddie had cheated and lied. Now she was trying to destroy my reputation to save her own. My phone rang. Kate. Will, have you seen what Saddie's been saying about you? Just heard about it. Is it bad? It's worse than bad. She's telling people you monitored her every move, controlled her finances, and isolated her from her friends. She's claiming the GPS tracking was stalking, and that you forced her to lie about where she was going because you were possessive and jealous. That's insane. She agreed to the family tracking app, and I never controlled her finances or isolated her from anyone. I know that. Mia knows that. Jess knows that. But Saddie's convincing Will. She's got people feeling sorry for her, saying she was driven to cheat by your abuse. What do I do about this? Fight back. Tell your side of the story. Don't let her control the narrative. But I didn't want to fight back. I wanted to move on, to put this whole nightmare behind me. I'd gotten my divorce, kept my assets, and started rebuilding my life. Why couldn't Saddie just let it end? The answer came Friday morning when Patricia called with bad news. Saddie's filed a motion to reopen the divorce proceedings, she said. She's claiming she signed the papers under duress while suffering from severe depression, and that the settlement was unconscionably unfair. Can she do that? She can try. She's also filed a restraining order against you, claiming harassment and stalking. Stalking? I haven't even seen her since she left the house. She's claiming the GPS tracking constitutes stalking, and that you've been monitoring her movements and activities even after the separation. That's bullshit. I canceled the tracking app the day she moved out. I know, but she's also claiming you've been spreading false and defamatory information about her to mutual friends and community members. I haven't said anything about her to anyone. I believe you, but she's got 3 witnesses who say you've been publicly humiliating her and poisoning people against her. Who are the witnesses? Ryan Foster, Jennifer Brennan, and someone named Michelle Torres. Jennifer, Saddie's own sister, was helping her lie about me. This is insane, Patricia. Everything she's saying is the opposite of what actually happened. I know, and we're going to prove that. But Will, this is going to get ugly. Saddie's playing for keeps now. What does she want? Half of everything, including the house, spousal support, your retirement accounts, and she wants you to pay her legal fees and medical expenses from the hospitalization. The hospitalization that happened because she had a breakdown over getting caught cheating? That's her story now. She's claiming the hospitalization was necessary because of trauma from your years of emotional abuse. I sat in my kitchen, staring at the divorce papers I'd thought were final, and realized this was just the beginning. How long is this going to take? Months, maybe a year, and it's going to cost a fortune. Can we win? We can win. But it's going to require us to go nuclear, Will. We'll have to destroy her credibility completely, expose every lie she's told, drag every dirty detail into the open. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the Facebook comments, the whispered conversations at the grocery store, the way some of my neighbors had started looking at me differently. What choice do I have? You could settle, give her something to make this go away. Absolutely not. I won't reward her for lying about me. Then we fight. But Will, when this is over, everyone in town is going to know every detail of your marriage and divorce. Nothing will be private anymore. Saddie already made sure of that when she started calling me an abuser. All right then. Let's go to war. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I spent the weekend preparing my defense with Patricia, gathering evidence to counter Saddie's claims. Phone records showing she'd blocked me, not the other way around. Bank statements proving she had full access to all accounts. Testimony from friends confirming I'd never isolated her or controlled her activities. Most importantly, we had the GPS evidence showing she'd lied about her whereabouts, and witness statements from Kate, Mia, and Jess confirming that Saddie had used them as cover for her affair. The key is to stay calm and factual, Patricia advised. Let Saddie be emotional and dramatic. You be the reasonable one. Tuesday morning, I walked into the courthouse to find Saddie sitting with her lawyer, looking pale and fragile in a conservative black dress. She'd lost weight since the hospitalization, and she kept dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. When she saw me, she visibly flinched and moved closer to her attorney. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Judge Morrison called the hearing to order. This is a motion for a temporary restraining order. Ms. Harper, you may proceed. Saddie's lawyer, David Chen, stood up. Your Honor, my client is seeking protection from ongoing harassment and stalking by her estranged husband. Mr. Harper has engaged in a pattern of controlling and abusive behavior that culminated in illegal surveillance and public humiliation. He presented their evidence, printouts of the GPS tracking data, screenshots of social media posts about the divorce, and a timeline of what they called my escalating harassment. Mr. Harper installed tracking software on my client's vehicle without her knowledge, Chen continued. He used this software to monitor her movements and activities, then confronted her with this illegally obtained information. When my client attempted to distance herself from this abusive relationship, Mr. Harper retaliated by spreading false and defamatory information about her throughout their community. Saddie took the stand, speaking in a small, shaky voice. I was afraid to tell Will where I was really going that weekend because I knew he'd be angry, she said. He'd become increasingly controlling over the past year, monitoring my activities, questioning my friendships, making me account for every minute of my time. Did you know about the GPS tracking? Chen asked. I knew we had a family plan, but I didn't know he was actively monitoring my location. When I realized he was tracking me, I felt violated and scared. Why didn't you tell your friends the truth about where you were going? Because I knew Will would question them about my activities. He'd done it before. I was trying to protect my privacy and my safety. It was a masterful performance. Saddie looked like a victim, fragile, frightened, sympathetic. If I didn't know the truth, I might have believed her myself. Then Patricia stood up for cross-examination. Ms. Harper, you testified that you were afraid to tell your husband where you were going. Where were you going? Saddie's composure flickered for just a moment. I was taking some time to think about our relationship. Where, specifically? I was staying with a friend. What friend? Ryan Foster. And what is the nature of your relationship with Mr. Foster? Saddie's lawyer objected, but Judge Morrison overruled him. We were close friends. Ms. Harper, were you having an intimate relationship with Mr. Foster? A long pause. Yes. So when you say you were taking time to think about your relationship with your husband, you were actually having an affair? It wasn't like that. Ms. Harper, yes or no? Were you engaged in an extramarital affair with Ryan Foster? Yes. And when you told your friends Kate, Mia, and Jess that you were going on a girls' trip to Mountain View Resort, was that true? No. So you lied to your friends to cover up your affair? I was trying to protect everyone. You were trying to protect yourself from the consequences of your adultery, weren't you? Objection! Chen stood up. Sustained, Judge Morrison said. Move on, counselor. Patricia pulled out a folder. Ms. Harper, you testified that your husband was controlling and monitored your activities. Did you have access to your joint bank accounts throughout your marriage? Yes, but... Did you have your own credit cards? Yes. Did your husband ever prevent you from seeing friends or family? Not directly, but... Yes or no, Ms. Harper, did he ever prevent you from seeing friends or family? No. Did he ever prevent you from working or pursuing your career? No. Did he ever physically harm you or threaten to harm you? Saddie hesitated. Not physically, but emotional abuse. Ms. Harper, did your husband ever physically harm you or threaten physical harm? No. Now, regarding the GPS tracking, you testified that you didn't know your husband was monitoring your location, but you did agree to install the family tracking app, didn't you? Yes, but I thought it was for emergencies. And the app clearly states that all family members can see each other's locations, doesn't it? I didn't read the fine print. Ms. Harper, you're a marketing professional. You work with technology every day. Are you telling this court that you didn't understand what a family tracking app does? Another pause. I understood, but I didn't think he would use it to spy on me. You didn't think your husband would notice when you lied about your whereabouts to conduct an extramarital affair? Objection. Sustained. Counselor, you're badgering the witness. But the damage was done. Saddie's credibility was in tatters, and everyone in the courtroom could see it. Patricia called Kate as a witness, Kate testified that Saddie had explicitly told her friends that Will had a family emergency, and that's why he wasn't answering his phone. "Did Mr. Harper ever seem controlling or abusive to you?" Patricia asked. "Never. Will was always respectful of Saddie's independence. If anything, I thought he was too accommodating." "Did Saddie ever mention being afraid of her husband?" "Never. She complained about typical marriage stuff. He left dishes in the sink, he watched too much football, but she never said she was afraid of him." "What was your reaction when you learned Saddie had lied about her whereabouts?" Kate looked directly at Saddie. "I felt betrayed. She used our friendship as a cover for her affair. She made us unknowing accomplices to her deception." Judge Morrison called a recess. During the break, I saw Saddie in the hallway crying into her phone. "Mom, please, I need somewhere to stay. Ryan and it's not working out." I couldn't hear Ruth's response, but Saddie's face crumpled. "I know I messed up, but I'm your daughter. Please don't abandon me too." When court reconvened, Judge Morrison delivered his ruling. "I find that the petitioner has failed to demonstrate grounds for a restraining order. The evidence shows that Ms. Harper engaged in deceptive behavior to cover up an extramarital affair, and that Mr. Harper's discovery of this deception was through legal means that Ms. Harper had consented to. The motion for a restraining order is denied." Saddie broke down sobbing. Her lawyer put his arm around her shoulders and whispered something in her ear. As I was leaving the courthouse, Saddie approached me. "Will, please, can we talk?" "We just did, for 3 hours, in front of a judge." "I mean really talk, without lawyers." I looked at her, really looked at her. She was thin, pale, exhausted. Her eyes were red from crying, and she looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. For a moment, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the lies she'd told about me, the accusations of abuse, the attempt to destroy my reputation to save her own. "No, Saddie, we can't talk. We're done talking." "Will, I'm sorry. I know I hurt you, but I never meant for it to go this far. You accused me of abuse. You tried to take my house, my savings, everything I worked for. You used your own mental health crisis to manipulate people into feeling sorry for you. That's not something that went too far. That's who you are. That's not who I am. Yes, it is. The affair was bad enough. The lies were worse. But trying to destroy me to save yourself? That's unforgivable." I walked away, leaving her crying on the courthouse steps. Patricia caught up with me in the parking lot. "How do you feel?" "Like I dodged a bullet. If she'd been this vindictive during our marriage, imagine what she'd have done in a normal divorce." "This isn't over, Will. She's going to appeal. Try to reopen the divorce. Keep fighting." "Let her. I'm not afraid of her anymore." But I should have been. The final battle began 3 weeks later with a phone call at 2 a.m. "Will, it's Mark. You need to get over here, now." I stumbled out of bed, threw on clothes, and ran outside to find my neighbor standing in his driveway, staring at my house. Every window was soaped. "Abuser" was spray-painted across my garage door in red letters. My car tires were slashed, and someone had dumped garbage all over my front lawn. "I called the cops," Mark said. "This happened sometime after midnight." Officer Martinez arrived 10 minutes later, the same cop who'd handled Saddie's attempt to get back into the house. "Any idea who might have done this?" he asked, taking photos of the damage. "My ex-wife has been telling people I was abusive," I said. "She lost a restraining order hearing last week." "Saddie Harper? The woman from the domestic dispute a few months ago?" "That's her." Martinez nodded grimly. "We'll dust for prints, but this looks like teenage vandalism. You have any enemies, Mr. Harper?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. Unknown number. "You got what you deserved, you piece of shit," a man's voice said. "Stay away from Saddie, or next time it won't just be your house." The line went dead. "Threatening phone call," I told Martinez, showing him the number. "We'll trace it. In the meantime, I'd recommend security cameras and maybe staying somewhere else for a few nights." I spent the next day cleaning soap off windows and getting my tires replaced. The garage door would need to be professionally repainted, and the smell of rotting garbage lingered despite my best efforts to clean it up. But the worst part was the neighbors. Some of them, like Mark, were supportive and outraged on my behalf. Others whispered and stared, clearly wondering if maybe Saddie was right about me. Mrs. Peterson from across the street actually crossed to the other side when she saw me getting my mail. That evening, Patricia called with more bad news. "Saddie's filed another motion," she said. "This time she's claiming you orchestrated the vandalism yourself to make her look bad." "That's insane. Why would I destroy my own property?" "She says you're trying to build a case for harassment and stalking charges against her. She wants the court to investigate you for filing false police reports." "Can she do that?" "She can file anything she wants. Whether it goes anywhere is another matter. But Will, this is escalating. Saddie's getting desperate, and desperate people do crazy things. What do you recommend?" "Document everything. Install security cameras. Don't go anywhere alone. And whatever you do, don't engage with her or anyone acting on her behalf." I took Patricia's advice and installed a full security system: cameras, motion sensors, automatic recording. If anyone came near my house, I'd have video evidence. The cameras paid off 3 nights later. At 1:30 a.m., a figure in dark clothing approached my house carrying a gas can. The motion sensors triggered the floodlights and recording system, and I watched from my bedroom window as the person poured gasoline around my front porch. I called 911 while grabbing a baseball bat. "911, what's your emergency?" "Someone's trying to set my house on fire. 1247 Maple Ridge Drive. I have them on camera. Units are en route. Stay inside and away from windows." The arsonist heard the sirens and ran, but not before my cameras got clear footage of their face. It wasn't Saddie, it was Ryan. The police caught him 2 blocks away, reeking of gasoline and carrying a lighter. He was arrested for attempted arson, criminal trespassing, and making terrorist threats. At his arraignment the next morning, Ryan's lawyer tried to claim he was having a mental breakdown due to stress from the divorce proceedings. "Your Honor, my client has been under enormous pressure. His relationship with Ms. Harper has deteriorated. He's facing financial difficulties, and he's been drinking heavily. This was an isolated incident of poor judgment, not a pattern of criminal behavior." The judge wasn't buying it. "Mr. Foster, you attempted to burn down an occupied dwelling at 1:30 in the morning. That's not poor judgment. That's attempted murder. Bail is set at $50,000. Ryan couldn't make bail. He was remanded to county jail pending trial. That afternoon, Saddie called me. "Will, we need to talk." "No, we don't. Your boyfriend just tried to burn down my house." "He's not my boyfriend anymore. We broke up weeks ago." "Not my problem." "Will, please. Ryan's lost his mind. He's been drinking constantly, talking about how you ruined his life, destroyed his reputation. I tried to calm him down, but he wouldn't listen." "And you think this is my fault?" "I think we both made mistakes, and now people are getting hurt." "I made mistakes?" "Saddie, I discovered my wife was cheating, filed for divorce, and defended myself when you tried to destroy my reputation. What mistakes did I make?" "You could have handled this privately. Instead, you made it public, humiliated both of us, turned everyone against us." The audacity was breathtaking. "I made it public? You're the one who started telling people I was abusive. You're the one who tried to reopen a settled divorce. You're the one who filed false restraining orders and harassment claims." "I was trying to protect myself. From what?" "From the consequences of your own actions." "Will, I know I hurt you. I know I made terrible choices. But Ryan almost killed you tonight. Doesn't that prove this has gone too far?" "What it proves is that you chose to have an affair with a psychopath." "He wasn't like this before. The pressure, the legal bills, losing his business, it changed him. His business is failing. The publicity from the divorce, the arrest, the rumors. Nobody wants to join his gyms anymore. He's filing for bankruptcy. I felt a flicker of satisfaction, then immediately felt guilty about it. Saddie, I'm sorry Ryan's life fell apart. But that's not my fault, and it's not my responsibility to fix it. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking you to end it. Drop the charges, settle the divorce quietly, let us all move on. Drop the charges? He tried to burn down my house. He was drunk and scared and not thinking clearly. He was committing attempted murder. Will, please, if you press charges, he'll go to prison for years. His life will be completely destroyed. His life is already destroyed, by his own choices. You could show mercy. I could, but I won't. Ryan made his choices, just like you made yours. Now you both get to live with the consequences. Saddie was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder. You've changed, Will. You used to be kind. I used to be naive. There's a difference. Fine. If that's how you want to play this, we'll play it your way. What's that supposed to mean? But she'd already hung up. I found out what she meant the next morning when Patricia called in a panic. Will, Saddie's filed criminal charges against you. She's claiming you hired someone to vandalize your own house and frame her for harassment. That's insane. She's also filed a civil suit for defamation, claiming you've destroyed her reputation and career with false accusations. Can she do that? She can file anything. The question is whether she can prove it. But Will, this is bad. If the DA believes her story, you could face criminal charges for filing false police reports and insurance fraud. But I have video evidence of Ryan trying to burn down my house. She's claiming you orchestrated that too, that you somehow manipulated Ryan into attacking you so you could play the victim. How could I possibly manipulate someone into committing arson? She says you've been harassing and threatening Ryan for months, driving him to a mental breakdown, then provoked him into attacking you. I sat in my kitchen, surrounded by the smell of fresh paint from the garage door repair, and realized Saddie was trying to destroy me completely. What do? We fight. But Will, this is going to get very ugly, very public, and very expensive. Are you prepared for that? I looked around my house, my sanctuary that someone had tried to burn down, my neighborhood where half the people now thought I was an abuser, my life that had been turned upside down by lies and manipulation. I'm prepared. Let's end this. The final hearing was scheduled for December 15th, exactly 6 months after Saddie had left for her girls' trip. Patricia spent weeks preparing our case, gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, building an unshakable timeline of events. The key is to let Saddie hang herself, Patricia explained. She's told so many lies, made so many contradictory statements, that her story doesn't hold together. We just need to be patient and methodical. The night before the hearing, I couldn't sleep. I walked through my house, looking at the security cameras, the reinforced locks, the pepper spray I now carried everywhere, all the ways my life had changed because of Saddie's lies. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Last chance to settle this quietly. Drop everything, and we'll disappear. Keep fighting, and you'll lose everything. S. I showed the text to Patricia the next morning. Witness intimidation, she said grimly. We're adding this to the evidence pile. The courthouse was packed. Word had spread through the community about the hearing, and it seemed like half the neighborhood had shown up to watch the final showdown. Saddie sat at the plaintiff's table wearing a navy suit, looking professional and composed. She'd gained back some of the weight she'd lost, and her hair was perfectly styled. She looked nothing like the broken woman who'd been hospitalized for a suicide attempt. Judge Morrison called the hearing to order. This is a complex matter involving multiple claims and counterclaims. We'll address each issue systematically. Saddie's lawyer went first, painting me as a controlling, vindictive husband who'd orchestrated an elaborate campaign of harassment and manipulation. Your Honor, Mr. Harper used illegal surveillance to discover his wife's affair, then systematically destroyed her reputation through a coordinated campaign of defamation and harassment. When Ms. Harper attempted to defend herself through legal channels, Mr. Harper escalated his attacks, going so far as to stage vandalism of his own property to frame her for criminal behavior. It was a compelling narrative, delivered with passion and conviction. Then Patricia stood up. "Your Honor, the plaintiff's story requires us to believe that Mr. Harper is simultaneously a victim of harassment and the mastermind behind it. That he's both a controlling abuser and a manipulated target. That he's clever enough to orchestrate elaborate schemes, but stupid enough to leave evidence of his crimes." She methodically dismantled Saddie's timeline, showing the contradictions and impossibilities in her story. The plaintiff claims Mr. Harper hired someone to vandalize his house, but the vandalism occurred at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, and Mr. Harper was home alone. Dozens of neighbors can testify to seeing his lights on and his car in the driveway. The plaintiff claims Mr. Harper manipulated Ryan Foster into committing arson, but Mr. Foster's own text messages show he was acting independently, motivated by anger over his failing business and relationship troubles. Patricia called witness after witness. Kate, Mia, and Jess testified about Saddie's lies and manipulation. Mark and other neighbors testified about the vandalism and my character. Ruth, Saddie's own mother, testified that her daughter had a history of lying and blaming others for her problems. "Saddie has always been dramatic," Ruth said sadly. "When she was caught doing something wrong as a child, she would make up elaborate stories about why it wasn't her fault. I'd hoped she'd outgrown that behavior, but apparently she hasn't." The most damaging testimony came from Ryan's cellmate, a career criminal named Tommy Martinez, who'd been offered a plea deal in exchange for his cooperation. "Foster told me he was going to burn down his ex-girlfriend's husband's house," Tommy testified. "Said the guy had ruined his life, destroyed his business, made him look like a fool. He was obsessed with getting revenge." "Did Mr. Foster mention anyone else being involved in planning the arson?" Patricia asked. "Nah. He said his ex kept telling him to let it go, move on, but he couldn't. Said he was going to show everyone what happens when you mess with Ryan Foster." When it was Saddie's turn to testify, Patricia destroyed her with surgical precision. "Ms. Harper, you've testified that your husband was controlling and abusive, but you also testified that you felt free to conduct an extramarital affair for several months. How do you reconcile those statements?" "He was emotionally controlling, not physically controlling." "You felt emotionally controlled, but you also felt free to lie to your friends, use them as cover for your affair, and block your husband's phone number when it became inconvenient?" "That's not how it happened." "Ms. Harper, how many different stories have you told about the events of October 11th through 13th? Saddie's composure finally cracked. "I don't know what you mean." "You told your friends you were going to a resort. You told your co-workers you had a family emergency. You told your husband nothing because you blocked his communications. You told the court you were taking time to think about your relationship. Which story is true?" "They're all true in their own way. Ms. Harper, either you were at a resort with friends, or you were having an affair with Ryan Foster. Both cannot be true." It's complicated." "It's not complicated. You lied, repeatedly, to everyone, including this court." Patricia pulled out a thick folder. "Ms. Harper, I have here copies of 17 different versions of your story, told to 17 different people over the past 6 months. In some versions, you're the victim of an abusive marriage. In others, you're a woman seeking independence. In still others, you're a victim of manipulation by Ryan Foster. Which version should this court believe?" Saddie looked around the courtroom desperately, then broke down completely. "I don't know," she sobbed. "I don't know what's true anymore. Everything got so twisted and complicated, and I just wanted it to stop." "What you wanted was to avoid consequences for your actions," Patricia said coldly. "So you lied, and when those lies didn't work, you lied more. And when people stopped believing your lies, you accused your husband of the very behavior you were engaging in. Judge Morrison called a recess. During the break, I saw Saddie in the hallway with her lawyer, both of them looking defeated. When court reconvened, Saddie's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client would like to withdraw all claims and counterclaims. She's prepared to accept the original divorce settlement without modification." "Ms. Harper," Judge Morrison said, "do you understand that by withdrawing your claims, you're giving up any right to challenge the divorce decree or seek additional compensation?" Saddie nodded, not trusting herself to speak. "And do you understand that Mr. Harper may still pursue his counterclaims for defamation and harassment?" Another nod. "Very well. The court accepts your withdrawal. Mr. Harper, do you wish to pursue your counterclaims?" I looked at Saddie, sitting there with tears streaming down her face, her reputation in ruins, her life in shambles. "No, Your Honor. I just want this to be over." Judge Morrison banged his gavel. "The matter is closed. The original divorce decree stands as final." As people filed out of the courtroom, Saddie approached me one last time. "Will, I—" "Don't," I said quietly. "Just don't. I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry, for all of it. I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix anything. What happens now? Now you live with the consequences of your choices, just like I've been doing for the past 6 months." She nodded and walked away. I never saw her again. 6 months later, I heard through the neighborhood gossip network that Saddie had moved to another state to start over. Ryan was convicted of attempted arson and sentenced to 3 years in prison. I kept the house, rebuilt my reputation, and slowly learned to trust people again. It took time, but I eventually started dating, made new friends, created a new life. But I never forgot the lesson Saddie taught me, that the person you love most can become the person who hurts you most, and that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to let them destroy themselves. The GPS notification that changed my life still pings on my phone sometimes. Now it's just tracking my own movements, nobody else's. But every time I hear that sound, I remember the night I discovered my wife's betrayal, and I'm grateful for the hard truth it revealed. Some people say I was too harsh, that I should have forgiven Saddie and given her another chance. But forgiveness doesn't mean accepting abuse, and mercy doesn't mean enabling destruction. Saddie made her choices. I made mine, and I'd make them again.